I'd like to call this meeting to order for the Franklin Joint Review Board for the City of Franklin School District. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We'll continue with roll call. Sally Smits. Here. Dr. Torres Najera.
Here.
Andy Cromie.
Present.
Celia Benton.
Here.
And John Regetz. And all members are present. First order of business is approval of minutes, and we'll start with the minutes of September 28th, 2022, which was the TID amendment and annual meeting.
I move to approve.
Cromie seconds.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, and the minutes are approved. The next minutes to approve were the minutes held this year on September 14th, which was the organizational meeting of this board for consideration of forming TID 9, and would entertain a motion for approval of those minutes.
Cromie motions to approve.
Smith, second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, and the minutes are carried and approved. And so now we can approve the public record and planning documents and resolutions. You've received those all in the mail and had a chance to review those. The only change from our previous meeting when the project plan was introduced to us is just the addition of one parcel, which is basically on the east side, kind of in the middle above Ryan Road, on the east side of the proposed TID. And so that's been added for commercial development. And with that, to continue with the review of the public record and planning documents, I'd introduce Todd. One moment.
Sorry.
Introduce and give the floor to Todd Taves, who is our financial consultant with Fromellers.
Thanks, John. You kind of stole the summary there already. Again, the only material change is the addition of that parcel. When we met at the organizational meeting, we had run through a brief slideshow. I'm more than happy to do that again. I'll leave that to the pleasure of the body if you'd like a refresher or an overview, or I can simply answer any questions that you might have about the plan or what's transpired since that initial meeting before you consider action.
Does anybody wish to see the presentation again?
I would like to, since I'm new to the board,
Okay, very good.
if possible.
Actually, it should be there somewhere. Yep, there it is right there.
No, you're good. So this is the physical geography of the district. And again, this presentation was prepared before the Plan Commission meeting. So John was referring to as the added parcel would be this piece right here. So that is now in the plan. This is being designated as a mixed-use district, which has a maximum life of 20 years. In order to qualify, a total of at least 50% of the acres within the district needs to be suitable for some combination of commercial, industrial, and residential development, with a further limitation that no more than 35% of the district area can be used for newly platted residential. So the inset table, which also appears in the project plan, identifies that in total 68% of the area is suitable for mixed-use development, meaning that 50% threshold, but only 31% is expected to be used for newly platted residential development, meaning that we are also under that 35% limitation. And the largest piece of the non-suitable is really this city-owned DPW parcel right here, which is included within the boundary. And I'm going to go back So as I talk about the project that's precipitating the creation of the district at this time, it's the Karma Laboratories new facility, which is going to be developed on this parcel right here. So this is expected to be a 225,000 square foot new construction, which will have office, industrial, and warehouse space. The project costs that will initially be made to allow for that development to proceed are twofold. One would be a pay-as-you-go development incentive to Karma, which is payable strictly from and limited to the tax increment generated by their project and only after city debt service is paid. The city debt service is the second component, which will be issued to pay the cost of sanitary sewer and other public improvements that need to go in order to make this parcel developable at this time. There is a provisions in the plan that would allow for further extension of utilities to the west of the intersection of 76 and Ryan, and that's really the reason for the inclusion of the additional territory in the other quadrants. The expectation is that those additional costs will not be incurred until development comes forward, so the idea being that when one or more parcels is ready to develop, the city would then install the infrastructure at that time with the necessary tax increment to repay that infrastructure coming from the additional development. Thank you. This map just identifies the physical location of the project cost. So again, a pay-as-you-go development incentive on this site. The green line is sanitary sewer. We have a water main extension here. We have some intersection improvements, sidewalk improvements. So primarily physical public infrastructure in terms of the hard costs, again with incentives under a development agreement entered into with Karma. We have also included a placeholder for additional development incentives in other areas of the district, but those are not earmarked to any particular location, nor in any specified amount. They're written in the plan, simply to provide the city flexibility to the extent a subsequent development requests assistance and is further determined through the city's due diligence process to warrant that assistance. In the plan, we have a total of $11.3 million in costs. So those phase one costs are again the Karma project, consisting of the public infrastructure identified here, which the city would finance, a maximum $1.5 million pay-as-you-go incentive to Karma. Since the city will be borrowing, we have estimated interest on that long-term debt, and then various administrative costs to be incurred through the life of the district, to include the cost to create as well as to keep the district open. Phase two is, again, infrastructure that would be necessary for further development to the west, and also, again, placeholder development incentives for other potential commercial or industrial development. The city does not anticipate providing incentives to residential development. When we add the two phases together, again, $11.3 million in costs. Phase one, Karma, is expected to have a minimum valuation of $14 million. The additional value that you see in the other commercial and industrial and the residential column, roughly $87 million, that assumes a full build-out scenario. So it would be every parcel that's undeveloped within the district being developed to its highest and best use. We know that that may or may not happen. This is a feasibility analysis just to identify that if we incur the cost to go further west, this is how quickly we could expect to recover it under that full build-out scenario. If tax increments are less due to less development, it would simply take longer time. So $102 million is the total potential. When we run that $102 million through the tax increment projection, it identifies that if left open for the entire 20 years, we would collect roughly $28 million, assuming the current tax rate and no change in property value due to economic appreciation or depreciation. When we contrast that against the liabilities, which again would be city debt service for the public infrastructure, development incentives for Karma, and potential additional future development, what it indicates is that we could close the district roughly halfway through its maximum life in 2036. And again, this assumes a fairly rapid full development scenario, installation of the further infrastructure in the nearer term, to the extent that that takes longer to materialize, it will simply require that the district remain open for a longer time frame. And this has been through all the procedural steps, and we are here at the final meeting for your consideration.
Thank you.
Any questions for Mr. Taves? Very good. As Todd said, we've gone through all the steps, and now we're at the final consideration for approval. And so that takes us to item number 5, consideration of a resolution approving the creation of tax incremental district number 9. Chair would consider a motion to approve.
I move to approve the resolution approving the creation of tax incremental district number 9.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion carries, and tax incremental district number 9 is approved upon publication. And so that takes us to the annual part of our meeting, annual meeting part of our session, and that includes reports for annual finance reports, and that's going to be presented by, part of it will be presented by, the numbers will be presented by our Department of Finance Director and Treasurer, Danielle Brown. And so I'll take a look at the first TIF that we have up, which is TIF number 5, and I think that's the one that has the rock. And Lux Golf has gotten a great start in that, in addition to the previous developments that are there. Also, several new restaurants have been added this year. And so that TID continues to develop. And to give us some of the numbers on the finances is Danielle.
Can you hear me? So as John stated, yes, there's some development in the works in TID 5. However, TID 5 has progressed slower than expected. With the debt service shortfalls, those are covered by a development agreement that we have in place. Because the revenues and expenses are fairly stable for 2023, this TID is projected to close in 2036, which is also the mandatory closure date. As you can see on the TID annual report, the revenues and expenses are fairly similar. We're still paying principal and interest on outstanding debt that we have.
Any questions on TID number 5? Okay. And I guess what I'll do is we'll go through the reports on all 3 of these districts and approve them at once if you so choose, or you can approve them individually as we conclude the report out. So anyways, that takes us to TID number 6, which actually was just completed amendment last year, and it is looking at developing an entrepreneurship center called RISE, and so that will entail, to a large extent, what I call business condos. It'll have incubator spaces for businesses and support services as well. Last year, Celco purchased property in TID 6, and they are looking at developing a switching and data center for Verizon is their customer, their parent company. So that's the activity that's going on there, and we look to some more of the commercial lots being filled in the next couple of years. With that, Danielle, you can speak to the finances part of it.
So with TID 6, the development has come short or slower than expected. We haven't had as much development as projected back in 2018. However, we do have 3 development agreements in place that allow us to collect shortfall payments based on the assessed valuation of the properties. So we have agreements in place so that we can collect those payments. The 2018 analysis stated that the projected closing date of TID 6 would be 2037 with a mandatory closing date of 2039. With a slow progression of projects and development in TID 6, it's hard to say if it'll be 2037 or 2039, but we're still collecting those payments.
Very good. Any questions regarding TID 6? Okay, that takes us on to TID 7, which has been outrageously successful. Velo Village was filled, the apartment complex they had there was filled like within a year and a half after completion. So that's a stable and probably not a lot of changes going on between each and every year, but it's very successful.
Yes, TID 7, again, is complete. Right now, it's just collection of the tax increment, and then we will be paying out an MRO bond to Velo Village that we have in place. It's a roughly $14 million MRO bond that as we collect those tax increments, we will just pay them back. Otherwise, it's a fairly healthy TID.
Very good. Any questions on TID number 7's annual report? Okay. With that, would entertain a motion to accept the review of the annual financial reports from TIDs 5, 6, and 7.
I make a motion to accept the TID reports for 5, 6, and 7.
Cromie seconds.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And the reports are accepted. So now the one that we don't have any trouble getting motions for, we can move to adjourn.
So moved.
Seconded.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Weren't expecting any. And we are adjourned. Thank you very much.